enjoying a wonderful day. Where are you? Maybe if you're watching us or listening to us, you could leave us a comment and tell us where you are. Now, this is Now Tell Us. Now Tell Us has been ranked number one on a platform that we call Podmatch. Currently, number one. That's the great news that we have for you today. And I'm your host, Anthony Mwerore. And Anthony Mwerore is a speaker and is also an author of great books, Be Good for Good and the Achieve Your Dream Workbook. Now, many people have given me some positive reviews on these books, and especially the Be Good for Good. I would urge you to go and check it out. It's on Amazon and see what people have said there. And now, because I don't want to take much time, we always have guests come and tell us stories, come and inspire us, come and educate us on a subject at Now Tell Us. So at this moment, I'm going to welcome our guest today. She's a wonderful guest. You've got to believe me. Her name is Teri Brown. She's an author. Maybe she's been at it much longer than I have been. So I'm going to be asking her about becoming an author. And for anyone who's listening and would want to become an author, this is your episode. Listen to it, share it with all your friends, subscribe to our channels, and let's keep these conversations going. Let's now go and meet our guest today, Teri Brown. Here we go. Hi, Teri.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm good. How about you?
I am fantastic.
Wonderful.
Fantastic. Who doesn't like 2024?
Oh, it's already a beautiful year. I can
I
attest to
agree.
that.
Mhm.
Yes, yes, yes. And I'm loving every bit of it. And now we are loving that you're here with us. So this is
Thank
going to
you.
be a beautiful year, just as you are.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So, which part of the world are you right now?
So I'm living in North Carolina in the United States. So that's on
Hmm.
the eastern coast of the United States. And I actually live right on the coast.
Okay. And that is that where you were born?
Oh, no, I was born in Athens, Greece, where you are.
Whoa. Oh, this
Yeah.
is
So
beautiful.
Yeah, so my dad was in the Air Force, and
Okay.
at the time, there was a joint Air Force base between the United States and, Greece. I don't know
Hmm.
all of the details, but I do know that he worked for he did, like, communications. He was on the top of some mountain. My parents actually I'm gonna butcher the name, but he lived in a little town called Kefisha. Is that close?
It's Kifisia. You're very
There we
close.
go.
Yeah.
Okay, and then they did not have a military hospital,
Hmm.
so my mom, when she went into labor with me, had to get on the train, head into Athens, and then had me there in an Athens hospital.
Oh, I thought you were had in the train.
Oh, no, thank goodness, but she was only 20 years old, and
Yeah.
she spoke no Greek, and
Hmm.
her doctor spoke no English.
So your parents are from the
From the
US?
United States.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Okay.
my dad was in the Air Force,
Uh-huh.
and, here they are, this young couple. They
Okay.
spoke no German, I mean, no
Yeah.
German, no Greek,
Greek, yeah.
and when they got when they got there, the only doctors available to her are Greek, and so they had to kinda, like, sign language it all the way through this, and so when it was time for the baby, I mean, mom went into the hospital and just kind of like pointed at her stomach and did like this, and they took her on up.
Oh, oh, I get that story. I've been here in Greece, and it was a tough thing getting settled here in Greece when you don't have you don't know a word of Greek.
Right.
So how long did you get to stay in Greece?
So I was there for 2 years. I
Only?
don't I don't remember it, but about I guess 5 years ago, my mom and I went back.
Okay.
And she showed me all the things. We even got on the train. We went to Capisia, and I met the woman who used to be I guess, my babysitter.
Mhm.
And her family had this huge meal for us. We
Okay.
ate for 5 hours. I have never seen anything like it. It was the best food. And they would bring out food, and you'd think, okay. And then when you were done with that, they would bring out more food. I think we had 4 or 5 different main courses. There were 6 desserts. I've never seen so much food in my life, but it was delicious.
Yeah, in
Absolutely
Greece, in
delicious.
Greece, in Greece, we love food. In Greece, we love food.
And
Uh, uh,
yeah,
you remember any of the foods that you ate?
while I was, you know what? I don't remember any of the names. I could go back and look because I wrote everything down, but um, I do know that there wasn't anything that I tasted that I did not like. Everything to me was delightful.
Mm.
Um, oh, I'm trying to think. Even they had some kind of a melon that I had never tasted before, and that was cut up and kind of brought out like between things. It was
Okay.
delicious. Everything was delicious.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely delicious.
It's delicious.
Well, and let me
Yeah.
tell you,
So.
the olive oil, oh
Mhm.
my gosh, so much better than anything you can find in the States. If I
Okay.
could have figured out a way to fly that home, I would have done that.
And did you ever eat the Greek salad? It's something that
Yes.
people have.
Oh,
Because that's
yeah.
favorite for many people. I mean,
Yes.
the,
Everything, like I said, the food was, in fact, the 5 hours is now over. It's
mhm.
We got there, it was a lunchtime meal, so noonish. It's now like 5 p.m. We're on the train going home, and my mom said, "So what do you want to do this evening?" And I looked at her and I said, "Sleep. I
Mhm.
just need to sleep. I've never eaten so much food."
Yeah, and I have to admit that we also love sleep here in Kish.
Yes, yes. I think the thing that was really neat about that was this woman is about 10 years older than my mom,
Hmm.
and um Mom always said she was an old lady, which makes me laugh because she would have been 30 and mom thought she was old. And now here we are, it was almost 60 years later. And
Hmm.
now she really is an older woman. And she's not even 5 feet tall. And I'm 5'7", and she reached up and she touched my face. She still spoke no English, very
Hmm.
little. And what she said was, "Oh, beautiful, beautiful." And then she's crying. And her grandson was there, and he was
Okay.
able to do all the translating. And it was a wonderful day. It was a really wonderful day.
Yeah, yeah. If you're here, you can always have every single day being a beautiful day, and I'm glad that you enjoyed.
Yes.
Yes. Now, moving a little bit ahead, I was going through Amazon. I'm an author, and I was going through Amazon. I haven't been writing for long. It's been now almost going to 4 years. In 2 months, I'll be doing 4 years from my first book that I wrote. And then I came across this profile, and I discovered there's someone who has a book who has some 218 reviews on a book. I'm not even a tenth of that. I'm not anywhere near that. And I was like, okay, let's have this story. Let's know about uh, uh, Teri.
All
Please tell
right.
us, how did you get started on writing?
So I tell everybody that when I was a little girl, I
Hmm.
said I wanted to be an author.
Yeah.
But I think what I really loved was books. I loved to read, and so the idea was, well, of course, I'm gonna write books. But college came, my parents were not interested in me being a writer, and they were not interested in paying for me to be a writer because they said, that's not where any job opportunities lie. And then so I got a degree in all kinds of things. In fact, I actually have 2 majors and 2 minors. Then I got married and I had children, and life just kind of went on. But
Hmm.
in 2000, I started working for myself, but writing for small businesses. So I
Okay.
was writing website content and ebook content and even email type stuff.
Hmm.
And in my mind, I thought, I want to be a writer. I want to actually, I want to write books. I don't want to write for someone else. I want to write. But I was living in a very bad relationship, and it was abusive, and there was no way that I was going to put myself out there on the line, because as an author, when you put yourself out there, you put a lot of yourself.
Yeah.
And I was really afraid. But I got out of that relationship in 2017, and the words just started. I had to write. So I wrote and I wrote and I wrote, but I was afraid to show it to anyone because I still had a lot of fears and whatnot. I remarried, and my new husband and I went on this huge adventure where we rode from the coast of Oregon to Washington, D.C. on a tandem bicycle. That's a two-seater bicycle, that you pedal.
Yeah.
And that's 3,102 miles. I don't know how to change it into kilometers, but that's a long way. It's coast to coast in the United
Okay.
States.
Yeah.
And it took us 3 months. And when I finished that, I'm not an athletic woman. This is something that was way outside of my normal comfort zone. So when I finished that ride, I thought, I can do anything. What is it that I want to do? And it was like, I want to be an author. And 14 months later, Sunflowers Beneath the Snow was my first novel, and it was published.
Oh, that's good.
So that's kind of, it's like it's always been in the back of my mind, but I was 58 years old when I was finally published.
58 years old is when you published your
Yep.
first book. Now,
Yeah.
I'm curious, and maybe there's someone who's watching us or listening to us is curious. What did you do before that? I mean, you took many degrees, and then
Right.
what
Okay.
career were you in?
So for about 10 years, I was a stay-at-home mom. I have 4 children, and I was raising babies. That's what I was doing. And then, like I said, then I just started doing some writing for small businesses, but I was doing that from home so that I could still be home with my kids.
Okay.
So that was kind of like my part-time business. Until now, I've never had an actual occupation.
Hmm.
I've just kind of like done little jobs here and there. And now I can actually say, Teri, what are you? I am an author.
I'm an author, and that's a
Yeah.
good thing to say confidently.
Yes.
Terry, I'm
Yes.
an author.
I'm
Now,
an
tell
author.
us your experience after you published your first book, and bring us up to,
Okay.
let's hear about the journey.
So the first book came out 2 years ago. That was
Mhm.
Sunflowers Beneath the Snow. When I got it out, and I was stupid. I had no idea what was supposed to happen next. I sat in front of my Amazon page and waited for it to sell. And on day 1, of course, how many sales did I get? None, because nobody knew anything about it. And I
Okay.
realized, oh my gosh, I've got to do something because no one's going to find my book accidentally. So I
Mhm.
went on what I called my crash course of figuring out, like, what is marketing and what
Mhm.
do I need to do? And I
Mhm.
just started listening. There was a guy that did a podcast. I listened to some of his stuff. I started talking with other people that I knew were authors, and I just started doing whatever they did. And so I got a website out, and I now have a newsletter. I have 1,800 people subscribed to my newsletter now. And and that's in 2 years. When I first put up my newsletter, my daughter was on it. That was it. And now 2 years later, I have 1,800 people. So I think that's, if I were going to tell someone, what do you need to do to be an author, that there's 2 sides to that story.
Mhm.
There's the whole writing, which was like one whole job. And then
Okay.
there's the whole marketing, which is another whole job. And you really have to do both. You have to be willing. Like writing is so solitary, right? You're sitting all by yourself, you're doing your
Yeah.
little writing, but then once it's written, you have to do things like this where you come on with people and you smile and you say, "Hey, I've got a great book. Look at it." That's what you have to do.
Mm.
So,
Now, let me hear this, because I've met recently a lot of people who are saying, hey, and especially after they saw me publish my books, and they're saying, hey, Anthony, I want to be a published author. How do I go about it? Now, how was your journey from the hatching of the idea to the publishing of your book? And which part could have been the hardest of them?
yeah, the idea kind of just came to me. I had a friend tell me a story, It was it was true, it was incredible. And I thought, that needs to be a book
Mm-hmm.
or a movie or something. And, you know, the wheels start spinning. And
Yeah.
I took what I tell everybody, I have 3 pages of truth and 82,000 words of fiction. So I took that little bit of truth and it was like, how can I get to that point?
Mm.
And so all of a sudden the story just starts coming out. I tell people that I'm a pantser, which means that I don't like to plot. I like to just let my mind go and write. And I'm also what I call a binge pantser, which means I write in big blocks of time. I might
Okay.
not write for 2 or 3, 4 weeks, but
Okay.
my mind is spinning, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I know what I want to do. And I sit down and I type and I type and I type. So for instance, Sunflowers Beneath the Snow was an idea. And 2 weeks later, it was a first draft.
Wow. 2 weeks.
So yeah, but,
Mm-hmm.
but it took a long time in my mind to get to that point, so people say, how long does it take you to write? And it's like the actual physical writing is different than all of the stuff that's going on in my head. But then I didn't know what to do with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now what?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I actually got it into the hand of a hybrid publisher, and it should have never, they should have just laughed in my face because I didn't didn't edit it well. I didn't know what I was doing. And luckily what they saw was a lot of potential, and
Okay.
they got me with an editor. And I would say that was probably the hardest part, mostly because this was my baby. And you get an editor who says, oh, you have a very nice baby. Here are 83 things you need to do to fix it. And you're like, and after I met with the editor, I actually went to bed and slept for 14 hours.
Mm.
I was overwhelmed. I could not believe that there were so many things wrong with my book. That's the way it felt. And then the more I thought about it, it was like, well, she's right about this piece. Well, and she's kind of right about this piece too. And really she's right about, and the more I started to think about it, it gave me the courage to sit down with that manuscript and make changes. It's not like an editor says, change this word to this word. This
Yeah.
editor is saying, I need more of this character, or I got lost in this section, or this went a little slowly. You need to do something to perk it up, right?
Mm.
And so then you have to sit down with that creative brain and go, oh, what could I do there? How could I make that
Mm-hmm.
happen? So I did my rewrite, and then a rewrite, and then a rewrite. I would say that's the hardest part of the process for me,
Mm-hmm.
is the editing, because it's not a one-time deal.
Mm.
You edit, and then you edit, and then you edit, and then you edit, and you think, oh my gosh, is this ever going to end? Um, I think the other part that was really hard for me was picking a title,
Okay.
because how do you take 82,000 words and condense it into something that's, 2 to 5? I Yeah. So Sunflowers Beneath the Snow had no name.
Yeah.
Um, I had saved it in my computer as one of the characters, and his name was Alexandro. Okay.
Okay.
That's a terrible name. Nobody
Sounds,
can
sounds,
remember it.
sounds Greek too.
Nobody, yeah, nobody can spell it. Nobody can remember it. Right. I mean, it's a horrible, horrible.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave them some ideas. They hated them. They gave me some ideas. I hated them. We went back and forth for 3 weeks. I figured the book was going to come out as You Name It by Teri M. Brown. I mean, I had no idea. And finally we came up with, I don't know, we just started thinking about, like, what are the themes in the book and what do we notice most? And we landed in a winter type scene, and because it was cold and harsh, and then sunflowers because it's about Ukraine, and then bam, Sunflowers Beneath the Snow. And once the title came out, I knew it was the right title.
Mm-hmm.
But up to that point, oh, it was horrible. And I had the same problem with my second and third book, and I'm writing a fourth one right now, and I have no idea. In fact, my publisher said, "So what is the title of this new one?" And I started to laugh. And I said, "You know me. There isn't going to be a title until we're into our third or fourth edit."
That's interesting. That's interesting. And going back a bit, I identify and I feel you, and I know there's someone who's there going to uh, mm, get an inspiration to put something down. When you say that you present it to your editor and you're like, oh, is that really what you are saying of my work?
Yeah.
Because I remember the first time I presented to someone and he's like, okay, this one is not right. This one, this is my best. This is the best of the best. And then the most interesting part for me was when I presented my mentor with the cover. I have made a cover and I am sure I have gone through it and I've asked a few friends and they've said, oh, this is perfect. And I present my mentor with the cover and he says, oh, Anthony, I think there's a lot to do on this cover. And I'm like,
I know, I've told people that first experience with an editor was it was just heart wrenching. It was really hard.
mm-hmm,
This great book, and she
mm-hmm,
can see it in a way that I can't
yeah,
because I'm the author. I know what I mean, and
mm,
I know the characters. They live in my head, and so I don't know if I haven't helped my reader. And my editor will look and say, "I don't really understand why this character is doing this thing." And
mm,
I'm like, "What do you mean you don't?" And then you go back and read it as an observer and you think, "Oh, it's because I didn't tell you why the character is doing this. It's in my head, but it's not in yours." So I
mm.
love the editing process now because it helps me take my work and just make it better.
Yeah. And this is the good thing when you're putting a book out there. You don't just bring out your idea and give it to people. You're going, as my mentor tells me, you're going to face it rough when you've just given, because you're a writer. And
Right.
there is a reason why we have writers and the reason why we have editors.
Exactly.
Your work is to write, and it's the job of the editor to edit whatever it is that you've written.
Right. And it's so wonderful because they see it with these fresh eyes.
Yeah.
And so, you have different kinds of editors. You have
Mhm.
the content editors, um, and you have the proofreader type editors. The number of times where I've had the proofreader go through and they find all these spelling mistakes. I'm an excellent speller, and
Mm.
I've been over this document a bazillion times, and still I missed it.
You still
So
miss it. You miss
so,
it.
you left off an E, or you put, instead of THE for the, you put TEH, and
Yeah.
you've been across it a bazillion times and you still miss it. And I just think that the editing process, that's where you take good work and it becomes excellent work. Or
Excellent
you
work.
take excellent work and it becomes superior work. It's like wherever you were, it moves it up. If you're willing to listen. If
Mm.
you're willing to listen. Some people I think aren't willing to listen to their editor, but
Yeah, people would choose. I mean, I was like, okay, what did you just say? But then I imagine, okay, this is a very experienced person, a very established person. He knows what
exactly.
he's saying, so I've got to listen to what he's saying. Now,
Right.
and that now gives us the idea that the book that you put out there is a good book. And when you see a book that has 200 ratings, that means that we've got some great readers. I mean, a great numbers there who have read the book. 218 reviews, and it's over 4 stars. It's around the 5 stars. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, hey, people, go get that book, Sunflowers Beneath the Snow. Find it anywhere you find and go read it because I believe it's an interesting book. Go on. You have something you want to say. I
I
can.
don't know. I can't remember what I was gonna be. So
Oh, that's another book.
yeah,
Right. Whatever word comes to mind. Okay.
right, right.
Yeah. So, and then you talk about this part of marketing and having the results that you have. I want to believe that you've done quite a good job at it. That's something that I could learn from you.
Marketing it's tough. It's like putting on a whole different hat. When you're writing, you're kind of in your creative brain.
Mhm.
And, but when you're marketing, it's not that you aren't creative, but I don't know, it's more you've got to do this. You have to do this every day. You have to go out and you have to put stuff on your social media, and you have to, create a newsletter, and you can't create a newsletter and put it out every so often. You have to come up with, when are you putting out your newsletter, and then you have to stick with that and do it,
Mhm. Mhm.
because otherwise you lose your readers. If they know that they're going to hear from you twice a month, they look for you to come twice a month. If you don't do it, they want to know why. If you
Yeah,
don't do it long enough, they don't care anymore. And so you
and they
have
forget
to,
it.
right. And so you have to be really consistent,
Mhm.
which is not probably one of my stronger suits. I like to kind of like do whatever I do. And so I create a little calendar, and I tell myself, on Mondays, you need to do this. And on Tuesdays, you need to do this. And I get it out there in front of people.
Mhm.
And and I think the other thing that's hard with marketing is I like instant. I do this, I immediately get rewards. And
Yeah.
that's just not the way marketing works, because you have to create this following, and you have to create people who care one way or the other, whether you've written another book. And so
Mhm.
you have to do a lot of, I'm Teri. You want to get to know me. Here's why. Here's what I'm writing. Here's some samples. Don't you want to read more? Oh, look, I've put the book on sale. Now you can get it. Hey, look, if you answer this question, you could win a copy. I mean, you have to do all of those things to get people to know that you even exist.
Mhm.
Right. And I'm still at the very beginning of this. I'm just at the beginning. I read someplace that in order to have a really successful newsletter, you
Mhm.
need to have 10,000 subscribers.
10,000
I
subscribers.
have 1,800. I'm not yet 20% of the way there. And it's
Yeah,
like,
but still
wow.
even there, I know that you have a lot to share with the person who's listening, who's thinking of becoming an author and becoming a successful one, because you've some numbers to show. And
Thank you.
when you have numbers to show, someone can say, okay, I want to hear more about that. So
Right.
give us, because our time is almost over,
Okay.
give us a few tips, one, two, three tips of becoming an author and a successful author.
I think I'll put them in the marketing side, because if you're listening to this and want to be an author, the writing is, you just have to write. Write. Get someone who will help you with the editing. Listen, make changes, keep writing. I mean, that's the big thing on that side. On the marketing side, the first thing is be consistent. So whatever it is that you've decided you're going to do, you have to be consistent at it. You have to
Mhm.
keep going. And eventually then it kind of keeps going for itself, because you've been, pushing it along.
Mhm.
Um, don't don't go out and purchase some book that says 4,003 ways to market, because you cannot do that. You
Mhm.
can't do 4,000 things. You can't do 1,000 things. You can't do 100 things.
Yeah.
So find those marketing things that really suit who you are and how comfortable you are. I love being on podcasts.
Mhm.
I love it. So it is one of my main marketing tools, is putting myself out there on podcasts. For some people, this would be torture.
Mhm.
They would like, they don't want to be seen, or
Yeah.
they don't want to be heard. And so don't do podcasts if that's you. I mean, if you're going to get on the podcast and sit like this and not say anything, then it's not good for you, right?
True.
So look at the different things that are out there and find the ones that really suit who you are. And then I would say definitely get a newsletter. And when you have people who purchase your book, if you do it in person, get their uh, email address, get their permission, get them on your newsletter.
Mhm.
Then if you're at an event, have a sign up for your newsletter. If anytime that you can capture their email, then you can now talk to them and market to them. But don't just market your book. Don't
Mhm.
just say, here's my book and it's for sale. Here's my book and it's for sale, because people get tired of that. So
Yeah.
instead, I do things like, one of my newsletters every month is focused solely on other books that I have read that I enjoyed.
Okay.
And so I tell them, this is the book I read. Here's my quick little book review. I give them a link to be able to go to that author's website or whatever. And the only thing that's maybe said about me is maybe in a PS. Hey, don't forget mine's on sale this month or whatever. And it's not about that. And then even in the newsletter that's more about me and what's going on, I also try to be personal
Mm-hmm.
because they don't want to just know about my book. They want to know about my writing process. They
Mm-hmm.
want to know how my husband's doing. They want to know, that I had a new grandbaby. They want to know those things. And so
Uh-huh.
you try to, I mean, I still have a private life, don't get me wrong, but I try
Yeah.
to let people in a little bit and see that I'm a person who is an author as opposed to, an author, whatever that means. In
Uh-huh.
people's minds, an author is someone that's almost untouchable. And if you can make yourself touchable, they like that.
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna start being touchable. Okay. Not, it's not that I haven't been touchable. I've been here on podcast
Right.
every single day. I've been out there getting to interact with people. But I thank you for these tips that you've shared with us. Thank you for telling us all that. And I know there's someone who's benefited. And at this point, I also actually want to thank all our viewers. We have Claire. Claire says that this has been really a useful talk this morning. It's morning wherever she is, uh, and she loves that you suggest marketing that people are uncomfortable with.
They are. I mean, when I got started, I didn't even know it was something I was supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I talk with new authors, that's one of the things I say is don't wait. Start your marketing before you even have a book. Get out there, start letting people know you exist. We have a huge world,
Yeah.
and you've got to find ways to kind of like elevate yourself out there and just put yourself out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. And now talking about putting yourself out there, and because this episode is just about to end, oh, I wish that we would have had more time. We'd talk much. Talking of going out there, when are you coming to Greece next?
Oh, boy, if I could come right away, I would. I had a chance to see a couple of the islands when I was there, and I would love to come back and see more of the Greek islands. However, my husband is ill. He has
Oh,
brain cancer,
oh,
and so very ill. And so traveling is not going to happen probably this year, but our fingers are crossed for good news. And so when am I coming to Greece? Let's put it out into the world that, by the end of the year I'll be able to make plans like that.
oh. And we wish the best for your husband.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, health is something that is very important.
It is.
And if you're in a challenge, then you need all the energy. And we are sending energy to you
Thank
right
you
now.
so much.
We are
Thank
praying
you.
for you.
Thank you.
Yes. Now, since we are just about to go and some people are interested in something more that you'd like to share, how can they follow up with you?
Definitely go to my website. So it's my name, terrymBrown.com.
Okay.
And that's, yeah, you've got it there on the screen. So it's Teri M. Brown. That's Teri with one R. When you get there, you can sign up for my newsletter. You'll see all the social media links. I am on every social media that there is out there. I don't know what I'm doing on all of them, but I'm out there on them. Um, my kids laugh because I even have a TikTok, but I'm not doing the stand and flip your legs and all that stuff that people do on it. I'm just like putting my books out there. But anyway, so yeah, you can follow me on all my social media. Definitely reach out and get on my newsletter. I have a contact page if you just want to reach out to me directly and ask me a question or anything. I love chatting with people. I love chatting with readers. I love chatting with writers. I pretty much love chatting. So, just reach out, say hello.
Yeah. Go to terrymBrown.com and follow up with her. And it's true what she says about TikTok. I've followed her there, and now she's not dancing there. Wow, wow, wow! Thank you very much, Terry, for everything
Thank
that
you
you
so
shared,
much.
everything that you've told us. Thank you for coming to tell us. and we really appreciate.
Thank you. I really enjoyed being on the show.
Yeah, we wish you the best for your family. We wish you the best in your books, and
Thank you.
we're looking forward for the other book that you're going to publish soon.
Right. Yes. So Daughters of Green Mountain Gap is coming out in this month, just a
Okay.
few days. So yeah, this is this one. And then number 4 is like half out of my head and half in my head. So I got to get the rest of it out.
Okay. All the best. If you need help, call the viewers, call our followers. They'll come
All right.
and give you some help.
Super.
So that's about it for today. It's been such an honor having you, Terry, on this show. You're wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
coming. Yes, and we also want to appreciate all our viewers. Thank you for all those who have been here, or those who have contributed, given us feedback, said anything. We appreciate you and wish you the best. If you want to become an author, follow up with Terry. Again, once again, find the website in the description of this video and follow up with her. And that's about it. We wish you a wonderful year, every one of you. And until next time. See you. And by the way, I'm asking people, what would you like us to discuss next on Now Tell Us? Or if you have a guest in mind that you would like to be on this show, now please leave that comment wherever it is that you are. And let's have a wonderful year together. Final word, Terry, before we sign off.
That's it. Just happy 2024. And thank you so much for being with us today.
Okay, thank you. And until next time, it's bye for now. This has been your host, Anthony Morore, and together with our guest, Terry M. Brown, say bye.
Bye.
Bye.